if you start thinking that you deserve something, then that's your downfall.
Disciplined stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills.
11 from Anger Town. These plants just helped me chill out. Found focus. Found confidence. All of a sudden I was productive. Less protective. More progressive. Yeah, we talk about stuff like I'm a next sommelier. But this is about a medicine, baby. We wish everyone a mindful life. It's been a helpful tool for us. Whatever the route to peace, it's each individual's journey. And the more we communicate, maybe we can all help each other out. Love and light. Welcome to Disciplined Stoners Podcast with your host 11.
And my name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness.
And welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Stoners.
I'm your host 11.
My name is Winnie,
and we are the gateway drug to mindfulness.
And today,
our next guest is a multidisciplinary artist.
Oh my God.
Really getting that juice in the director aspect of the disciplines. He's directed over 20 films. He's a producer, executive producer, writer, actor. He is a comic nerd and a beyond movie buff. I'm so excited, honored, and thrilled to introduce Andrew Cymek.
Thanks, guys. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the bio.
No, your bio was bullshit. We ask people to give us their bio so we don't have to do that work. and also because we want to get better at our introductions, if we're being totally honest. But his bio just wrote back, directed over 20 films. And I was like, this is...
Sometimes that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
You know, when you look
We
back.
have trapped the most humble man in the universe to tell him how much we admire him. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is going to be a great but also difficult interview because, bro, you, in my eyes, have fulfilled and manifested a life of destiny that, oh my God, is so beautiful. You're so humble and focused on your craft. I can't wait to dive into it. But first, I just want to say, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew and I met on my very first feature film called The Door. And we've had his wife on the show, Brigitte Kingsley. She's amazing, actress, producer, writer as well. And you were director of photography on that film. And
Well, Winnie, actually, I was the editor on that movie. I
forgot that.
I did set
oh my God,
construction as
I'm
well.
remembering now.
So the reason why you think that I was the director of photography was because, so on that specific shoot, I think this is kind of a microcosm for my entire career. That shoot, I was brought on board as an editor, and I saw pretty quick that the days were going, like, after 2 days, we were already a day and a half behind on that shoot. So,
Every indie produced film ever?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Seeing that, I got away from the computer and decided to help push it along, kind of as an AD. Yes. So I was on set pretty much for the rest of it there.
Right. I actually remember
Yeah.
that now.
So-
That's what happened.
And you just do what needs to be done and fill in the gaps and move it along. That's why, like, bro, like, you're tapped into harmony. It's funny when we talked about praying and you're like, I'm good here. You see from the lens of, like, a higher perspective and just do what needs to be done.
I think that started out as a necessity, right? So, I mean, when we started out, Brigitte and I started out making movies, we realized pretty quickly that they cost a lot of money. So if I could learn how to do every person's job, then I wouldn't necessarily require them should they leave. Now, this happened actually on a couple of our first projects where I felt like the budget, that we were paying people were, a decent wage, but commercials, pay more. And some people in key positions were like, okay, we understand that we signed on board your project, but this once in a lifetime commercial where I'm going to make a lot of money.
They can't prioritize it in a fiscal world.
Right. Exactly. That put it bluntly.
Yeah.
And so I was left without key personnel in some of our projects. This
Gotcha.
required me to learn those skills to, if that ever happened again, I wouldn't blink. And that has served me well. I like to learn, so learning new skills and
Shocker.
and it keeps me busy. So in that case, it's like, okay, well, this movie wasn't hitting its schedule, so I was like, okay, I can help push it along. So.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, and then since that project, yourself and Brigitte have given me most of my opportunities.
You're a blessing.
Yeah, you've been such a blessing in my life. But also, like,
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to know when you really started to geek out in terms of film, and like, was that always something? Like, did your family grow up in film, or did you watch movies with your family, or where did this love for film come from?
I mean, I think that it's kind of. I always loved movies. The first movie I saw that I remember in theaters was The Empire Strikes Back at Cinesphere. So it was on the huge screen. It had such an impact on me. The good guys lose at the end of that movie. But I always wanted to be a hockey player when I started.
Whoa.
It's like but I guess you could say I want to look back and say I was very self-aware and knew I wasn't going to make the NHL, but I don't think that's the case. I just got older and realized that time has passed by.
Yeah.
But in high school, my friends and I would, pick up the video camera, and we loved those, 80s movies, Star Wars, Back to the Future. Like, that was, what we loved, and we tried to emulate that as best as possible. And as soon as the school projects required a video project, that was it. Fell in love with that. And also, filmmaking is one of those things where it's similar to sports in that you have a team that is all working towards a common goal. So it wasn't really like, oh, well, I can be captain of the hockey team and also captain of a filmmaking team. And it's similar skills because you're motivating people.
Yeah.
You're
You have to be resilient.
you have to be resilient.
Think on
Physically,
your feet.
too,
yes.
and emotionally.
You got to stick to a strategy, but know how to shift gears if shit goes wrong. Call audibles.
Especially as a director, you
Yeah.
need to be able to improvise.
I was a quarterback. I totally get that.
Yeah.
It's like, we're about to get creamed in the left. Forget that play. Forget it.
Move on.
Yeah.
How do we keep going forward to finish the project? And I think very early in high school, I was like, the funny thing is like that first video project, we went all out and people loved it. And all of a sudden you're getting all this attention like, hey, did you see that guy's video? That was really good.
Yes.
And then that gets addictive.
Oh, bro, doesn't
talk
ever.
about
For
it.
their applause.
For the applause, right? So you try to do, I'm going to keep doing that. And you start learning about the art. And then I had went to York University to study film.
Okay.
And really fell in love with the theory aspect of filmmaking, but also realized like the business, the gatekeeping aspect of filmmaking as well.
Like classic Hollywood type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel it right in university, right?
Totally.
My second year professor, there's the art films and there's the films that, I want to say Hollywood makes, but right now we're at a pretty good stage where I think there's a good mix of things that get
Agreed.
through. But back then, I really wanted to make Hollywood style movies. Like I said, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Star Wars, and my scripts would kind of tend to be similar to those. And I remember my second year professor was like, Andrew, no one wants to see your Hollywood crap.
Oh,
and
fuck.
And so I'm like, and that's the person who is in charge of green lighting the project, even as a student.
Fuck.
So I realized I wasn't going to convince her that to make the movies that I wanted to make. So instead, I became an editor, and that's where I started. Where I was like, well, editing is as close to directing because you're going to see what the other people screwed up and how to fix and what to avoid.
A well-edited
you're
film,
directing.
an editor can fix a film, or an editor can completely make shit out of
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so important. It's, of course, you would kind of like intuitively feel your way into like, I'll sit here to start, because
Even for
so
performances.
much. Yeah.
Right? Actors' performances are made and broken in the editing room.
Timing, seconds. You are so crazy good at like creating through that lens. It's amazing.
I appreciate all
Fucking
the
holy fucking
compliments.
shit.
Crazy good is, I have directed over 20 feature films. So,
Yeah, that it comes with that.
So, sorry, Wayne, go ahead.
Well, I'm switching gears a little bit.
Okay, I just want to geek out about editing, but go ahead.
It is about editing, actually. I wanted to know, so you started as an editor, and then obviously, like, the movies that you make, like, vary in genre. So have you, like, created different styles of editing based on the genre of the film?
not really. When I'm sitting down to edit, obviously in the romantic comedies, there's not a lot of action scenes, right? So it's just a different editing style. I think mostly my thought process is to always protect the actors and to get the proper emotion from the scene for the actors, especially in like the romantic comedies, is because that's really all anyone really cares about is that performance and making sure there's a connection. And a lot of times, I mean, that on set, it's difficult to have a real connection with the other actors because just the nature of filmmaking doesn't really allow for it. You're sometimes block shooting and you're shooting the entire conversation on one side, and then you flip the other way and you're shooting a different scene. Well, the editor has to create that either tension or romance or whatever. So I kind momentum. You're always, as an editor, you sit down, you're like, okay, what is the goal of this scene and how do I accomplish that? So, because every project is not only different, but every scene that you've shot has probably struggled in one way or another. So you have to fix the issues that arise in that scene. So it's as long as you have I feel like a good base in the theory of why things work, then you can kind of say, okay, well, let's make this scene work. And then also know that once you have delivered your version of your edit, you will then send it to someone else who will say, okay, take this out, take this out, take this out. And then you have to adjust your edit once again. Because just because you shot it a certain way doesn't mean that scene serves its purpose in the movie like you thought it would.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's why it's like, oh, why'd you cut that scene out? Well, because the story didn't actually require it, and we need it to be 86 to 88 minutes.
Fuck.
So there's a lot of different things. It's not just an art.
You gotta get good at killing babies.
Absolutely. there is that kill your darlings, where even in writing, where you're like, if you're playing, if you're holding on to something so much because you love it, but it doesn't serve the purpose of the entire, the story or the plot line. And this comes from experience of dealing with different movies where I'll submit cuts, and the notes that come back will be like, nobody cares except for 1 and 2, right? And basically your actors 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't affect the plot, right? So it's
Prioritize.
I mean, and I prefer those blunt conversations than, well, let's just kind of beat around the bush to figure out what you don't like about the project. Just tell me what the deal is. But if you know that, then you're like, okay, so when I'm editing, you can kind of say, okay, so if it's focused on 1 and 2 and it's, dealing with the emotion and attraction and relationship, you keep it. Everything else can go, and you'd be surprised at how how far the story can bend before it breaks. So how much you can lose.
Ooh,
and
I like that.
And as things, I feel like progress, it's like at our budget level, the attention span of the audience, you want to keep them, going.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to tune out. So it's every project is different. Like my passion projects tend to be a little longer because I do love
indulge a bit.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's also, I guess, there's more personality because I get to indulge in that because,
which is fun. People love that.
when you edit out, you're also removing a lot of that personality. You're making it a little more, not colder, but
Trim the fringe.
right.
Yeah.
And sometimes that fringe is what makes something special.
Yeah.
So,
It's the bridge I'd have to cut out for radio.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, but it was so
Absolutely.
fun. We got to hang out for a minute before we went back to the chorus. We used the fucking chorus one more time. That's like that was like filmmaking 101 and passion. It's like you have this vision that you follow and you're guided by, and you can just like allow the cards to fall where they may. And I think a lot of creators get lost in the details where it's kind of like you're surfing towards this vision, which you have like a well-developed imagination to see. You're like seeing through your mind's eye. Do you meditate? Why did you develop that? Or how?
Well, when I feel like it's changed.
Okay.
Actually, like how the creative process has changed.
Developed.
Like when I'm not sure if it's developed because, well, let's start here. When I started out, the creative process was very like spiritual, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where it would be like in the dreamscape, and images and stories would kind of come to me at night, and like I remember we were doing this movie called Medium Raw, and it centered around a killer that wore this metal wolf costume, and I just didn't know how the wolf costume worked. Like I knew what it was kind of in my visions, but I didn't understand how it would work and
Like how to bring it to life logistically, like to actually build it.
And it's like I had conversations with people about why this comes to people. It's like there's certain archetypes of like the vision of the wolf that has hunted us for millennia. That kind of thing. Like it's there. So why does it come to you in dreams, right?
Totally.
But back then, I remember I had gone to sleep, and I woke up at like 2:00 in the morning, and I just started drawing, and I was drawing the wolf costume, and then I went back to sleep, and I woke up the next day, and there was a drawing of the wolf costume that was what we built for the movie.
Wow.
So that was kind of, and when I was, my first couple scripts, I was very much like, okay, here's the premise, and I'm just going to write it, and I'm going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to finish ending at the end. And like, let's see what this character says in this scene. And I was along for the journey of those characters while I was writing it. And then you kind of go back and you do rewrites. But now, I tend to structure things a lot more. I tend to be like, okay, because now I have the experience of how to make movies. It's not just a pure creative experiment. It's more of, okay, so if I want to shoot this, how do I create this? And instead of it being along the lines of, just tapping into some source, it's more of an internal discussion where I'm like, okay, if I'm dealing with something in my life or I'm having questions about something, this is that movie that is going to tackle those questions. Right?
So technical introduced itself and incorporated into your perspective in the way where you're like application rather than just like infinite expression.
Well, and when when you're
so
younger,
cool.
you have less like physical experience, right? So maybe it's out of necessity that we have to use that connection, whatever, imagination, however it comes to us. But you've lived life now, and you've had all of these experiences.
It's a really kind way of saying you're old.
Hey,
you've had experiences.
It happens to the luckiest of us.
Yeah, that's right. What a blessing.
But I hear you because trust me, I've been going through it with some like physical
Not for the
acceptance.
not for the faint of heart. I'm telling you that.
You're here for the
in this
fulfilling and
industry.
enriching experience, which actually kind of allows a bridge to another incredible, fascinating thing about you. is your relationship with the lovely bee and your guys' time spent together, and the way I see you guys build each other up to serve the roles that you feel fulfilled doing, acting, directing, getting the business sorted out, getting the creative sorted out. To watch you guys work together fills my heart with so much love to see that happen and manifest, and gives me so much hope for what me and Winnie can build. Really, honestly, like, you are like just the spitting image of like harmony. I know you probably have, everyone has words once in a while, but like
Never.
Never. Bless. Okay, yeah, keep it G, keep it in. No, but please, can you let us, you've been with your partner for how long, and a little bit of how you guys have built this film thing together. Defiant
Empire, now Good Soldier Films. And now Northern Soul Film Company with Patrick McBurdy as well.
Yeah, shout out Pat.
Yeah, it's hard to not gush over B.
I mean,
I know.
It's
we got to have her back on, actually.
it's kind of funny because
Take some pressure off you for a
we
minute.
actually we actually just celebrated 18 years.
I saw that. I don't even know what to
married.
say to you guys other than congratulations and I love you. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's we started this journey together, and I've always said that it's infinitely better to have two people working to a common goal than one. She has always focused more on the business aspect. She's very social. She likes to go networking. I hate that. The fact that I'm here is like
We are so
I know.
grateful.
so ridiculous.
We are aware of that and so grateful.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've tenderly over months laid the.
I love you guys too, though. So it's, with myself, I was always more technical and creative, and that has basically allowed us a very good partnership where we kind of don't. When we started, we didn't step on each other's toes, right? But with any partnership over time, I feel like that has to change as well. So, Brigitte started to really get into the writing, and I was like pushing her to be like, yes, do this. You can write. You've edited the scripts. You've worked with me in the edit room. There's nothing to stop you from doing it. We're in a position where if you write something, we will make it. It's that simple. So she started writing it, and that was Christmas by Chance. It was the first thing that she wrote that we cast Winnie in.
Love.
And I thought it was a great script, and and we did that. And now I'm at the point where I'm slowly trying to get her to direct. Yes. Because I feel like one of the things as we get older is that experiencing of new things and learning new skills, it kind of keeps you young. And that's one of those things where I'm like, I'm kind of like, okay, Bridge, maybe I'm not the director to be learning from, but this is why I do this, right? And this is why I do this, and this is why I don't do this. And there are plenty of times on set. This is kind of one of the best and I guess most fulfilling parts is dealing with actors as a director, but also understanding. You work with actors of varying degrees, from novice to professional, right?
Yeah, skill-wise, yeah.
So how do you manage that for different people on set? And that's one of the things where I'm trying to, kind of show Brigitte that it's like, thank you. You can only push a novice actor so much before they break, and then the entire performance breaks. Whereas a professional, you can, definitely that muscle tool is more experienced. But again, it's like for us, it's one of those things where it's really benefit us. She's there to support me. I'm there to support her, and it's just been.
It's definitely like an archetype / blueprint for us.
Like, it's beautiful to see, and to see B and you guys, and know that you're such great actors, but to see you.
Yeah, are you going to act more,
take
mister?
roles I hope so.
I don't think so.
We're gonna cast you in something eventually. Yeah.
You know
What about
The-
this
the-
expanding your
the
skills
thing
business
is
you're
that
talking
We'll
about?
get him in his 60s.
when I did Night Cries. So Night Cries was the one movie that I was dealing with stages of grief, like trying to figure out how to move forward from stages of grief. And I had written Night Cries and Country Crush at a similar time.
Okay.
They both deal with stages of grief.
Wow.
Country Crush is a country musical, very different. And it basically deals with this concept of bad things happen to you, but how in a month from now when you're happy, that bad thing still happened to you. How are you happy when you know that a bad thing is going to happen to you just down the road? So it's like these cycles of positivity and this concept of and the sun also rises the next day, right?
Yes.
So that was Country Crush, and then Night Cries also was about this, the cycle of grief, where if you don't allow yourself to heal from grief, then you'll forever be in hell.
Your pain
And
body's
that's
expanding.
an action thriller, and I was always going to act in that because, this may sound kind of ridiculous, but I was also going through like this concept of legacy. B and I don't have children. Our legacy is our movies, and this concept of when we're gone, what do we leave behind? I think that's something that all people kind of struggle with in one way or another.
Totally.
If not, you must sleep really easily.
Congratulations.
But this idea of what am I contributing to the world and what am I leaving for people, and so I was kind of, this is kind of going into the creative process a bit, where it kind of intrigued me where, if you ask someone, down, across the world who Luke Skywalker is, they'll have a pretty good idea of who Luke Skywalker is.
Yeah.
That Luke Skywalker is not a real person.
He met his father late in life, is all we know.
But he's not a real person.
No.
But they'll describe him as if he's a real person.
Right.
Now, if you ask that person across the world who Andrew Cymek is, they'll have no idea. Right? So but that had a basis in terms of, if I'm constructing this movie where Brigitte and I are playing husband and wife, and it's about this husband who loves his wife so much that he'll travel into hell for her, and this movie's released. When we're gone, that movie still exists. So those characters are more real than us. And that's the story that I'm leaving. That is that
incredible
was one of
awareness.
those things where that was an interesting moment. I got to act in that. I got to act everything that I wanted to do.
It
and I
told
just
the
prefer
story.
directing and writing. And
You know what? The one I really love working with you. I do, because the last movie that we did together, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah, go for it.
My Boss's Wedding 2. I play a supporting character in that, and like you said, there's a format to these films, and if it's not about 1 and 2, no one gives a shit. But I really like my characters that I play, and I'm always looking to you after we cut, and when you just say nice work, Winnie, I'm like, oh. I was looking, I'm looking to you because you could actually be an acting coach. You give such good direction to me specifically. I can't talk about how other actors
how
have
to get there.
Yeah, how to get to
yeah.
the place and what you need from me, and you've obviously made me look very good on film, so I trust you. But I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the way that you speak to actors
And
on
that's
set.
such a skill.
It is.
I've received
It absolutely is.
not good direction more than I have gotten good direction.
Yeah.
Over every film project I've been on, and dude, that's
I think that's why a
magnificent.
lot of people actually work with acting coaches on the side of their work, their movie, their film, even though they're being directed, is because we need direction.
Thank you, first of all, because I do try to take care of the actors as much as possible.
Yeah, that shows.
But also, on certain projects, you may see that we run our sets a little bit differently.
So good.
So that the way that we run our sets allows me to really be with the actors.
Yeah.
Be in the trenches with
Truth.
the actors. And to be honest, not all projects are like that. A project that I was hired to do, the only time I've been hired to do a project other than the production company that B and I have founded.
Which is make your own opportunities, build the pillar.
That's good,
That's so
though.
fucking
It's
sexy.
it's great, but like, so they brought me up and as a director, and I'm usually behind the camera, I'm operating, and my job in this was to specifically direct and sit in the director's chair, and look at the monitor, and watch, and do that. I found it very difficult for the first day to not be able to, because if I wanted to talk to the actor, I had to walk 25 feet.
Yeah, it was a video village.
So usually you're bench pressing like 500 pounds, and then you go on to this set, and they're like, "Here's some fives. Just do curls for a while." And you're like, "Okay."
No, you know what? The funny thing is yeah, except those fives are weighed down by 5,000 pounds that you don't see.
Yeah.
Because I'm with like a video village of people who are all around me. They're talking in my ear.
Oh,
I can't
distraction.
focus. They're distraction.
You can
And
only
I'm
do
like,
one exercise.
How can you direct this way? And then you're like, okay, well, that's good. That's fine. Let's move on. As long as I'm getting the shots. Within a day and a half, I was out of that chair.
Yep.
I basically told the ACAM op, I was like, you're going to sit in my chair. I'm going to, operate the camera.
Yes, because you
So,
want to be
but
in
that's
touch.
my style. But yes, so because you have to have that relationship with the actors. If it's cold, then how can you ask them
Right?
to do? But also, when you're saying it's like, as an actor, one of the key things for me was learning what I needed as an actor. So that was an important skill to learn, where I was like, okay,
Definitely.
what does an actor need? What did I need when I was acting? So that it's kind of one of those things where if you're the captain of a hockey team or the captain of a, filmmaking team, it's like you want to know what you're asking people to do, so that you know how difficult it is or not. So it's if someone goes, oh, boss, I don't know about that. That's that's really difficult. You're like, no, I've done that.
Yeah.
It's very easy. And at the same time, if something's difficult and you've done it and you know it's difficult, you can give someone a little bit more grace to accomplish what you're asking.
Yeah.
So.
Just for my own selfish mind, out of curiosity, I've heard casting directors say, like, actors when they're auditioning, I don't think that you should be ignorant to like the genre and the series or movie that you're auditioning for, but they have called for different acting styles in different genres, and I want to know your thoughts on that. Do you think that, like, when because you've obviously casted a lot of your films, so when actors show up and they're, acting maybe too authentically for a rom-com movie, would you be like, nah, this isn't the style?
A little down the barrel insight for you actors.
Okay, first off, for actors in general, it is very difficult to book anything.
Yeah.
Bars, facts.
One of the things, Brigitte and I don't go through a casting director. We generally cast everything ourselves. So I don't see all the tapes, but Brigitte sees all the tapes. So she'll have her picks, and then, which is what a casting director does, and then I'll take a look at them. So much of getting booked relies on factors that you have no control over.
Yes.
Fair.
Right?
Like look.
So if you could have a great read, but if the lead is a blonde,
Yep. For sure.
it's
Yeah.
just like you're kind of out of the running, because we want to look at various, different faces, different looks, all that stuff, right? And at this budget level, I'm talking about, under $1 million. Back in the day, you get a $10 million project, they're going to dye your hair. They're going to do a bunch of
wig
stuff.
you or
There's
whatever.
opportunity for a little expansion.
Exactly, right? But there's so much that goes into casting these, where it's like, okay, it's very okay, your lead is this, so best friend is this, and your lead guy is this, so best friend is this, and whatnot. If I see someone who gives a great read, I'll keep that person in the back of my head to potentially, if they're not right for this part, for something else.
Yes. That's always what you should try to hit as an actor. Just make this person know that you're a killer.
Absolutely. And then also, like, depending on, like, Brigitte will come to me like, you really have to see this person. And their, her exact words would be, they're not right for this part, but just take a look. And you're like, okay, yeah. And so you start accumulating a list of like people that that's why I'll just call you. I know the caliber of actor you are. So I'll just be like, Winnie, you don't have to audition. Just come in and just do this part. Because I know that I see you in that part. And then it's like, so let's say you get approval from the casting director, and let's say, the director, and then you have to go through the network or the distributor to get approval. So it's just like, and then they just, we work in a visual medium, and sometimes it's all subjective. So I have been in meetings where someone's like, I just don't like that person. There's nothing, of substance to why, other than I just don't like that person, and that person is in a power position to make that call. So
it reminds you, just try to piss the least amount of people off in your life. Like,
you know what? It's not even about.
It's not personal. It's just like
not personal.
Sometimes it's just like I don't want to look at their face for 90 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like we've always joked about, like, in high school, where people are like, oh, that person just has a
punchable face.
Punchable face, right?
Shout out Troy Blundell.
I've told him that. I was like, that is your wheelhouse. You are like.
He knows. He's got the best face.
It's fantastic actor too.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to book. I think for every audition, put your best foot forward, even if you're not right for the part. One of the things that that hurts me the most if I ask someone to read and then they choose not to read. That's sometimes
it's crazy.
That's where it's not personal. It's just like, well,
it was an opportunity.
It was an opportunity. I also get that when you get to a certain point where you feel like you've passed that. But going back to,
why not have fun?
Actors and booking, it's like one of those things where, B and I, we weren't booking. No one was willing to give us an opportunity. So we made an opportunity for ourselves.
Yeah.
And with that first movie, it's like with Medium Raw, I mean, we were told, I can't direct. She can't star in it. We can't do all of this stuff. And
fuck you, watch
and it. We did, and proceeded to lose $180,000. But we did it, right? And maybe,
that just made me stomach sick a little bit.
No.
No.
It's a cheap tuition.
Like,
I had tuition as well.
What do you do after that? You proceeded to lose $180,000?
Pretty much, yeah.
That you never got back?
No. We worked 2 jobs each, and we paid off our investors over, I think, 7 years. And
holy
now,
fuck,
not
bro.
all of that was investor money. We paid the investor money off first. We also borrowed on credit cards. Then we had the credit cards to pay off.
What were those jobs, if you don't mind me asking? Or you don't have to answer if you don't have to.
Well, I mean,
were they in film?
B did.
They were in film.
A lot of background work.
Okay.
Which is good money if you're working consistently. And then I was working at a. Do you remember those videos that had the girls that were like, "Call me on the phone"?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Late night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shot those.
I love that so much. I'm so glad I asked.
I love those.
So you guys are so humble from the heart because you've been through the trenches. You've taken on the overhead. You fucking hustled to pay it off. You know what it looks like to build the steel, not just design the building. You've actually fucking from the grubble. That's incredibly impressive and cool that you're still doing it and like rode it to the top.
We're still trying, right? Like so.
And you're doing.
It's like the next projects that I'm doing. I'm financing those and trying to still do the art that gets me up in the morning.
So good, man. It's blessings. Sorry, I don't know. You.
Yeah. So okay. So you did that, and wow.
We love the struggle.
Just that's very impressive, and like makes sense with how like resilient you are now. Would you say for where you are now, like that feels worth it? I know that's kind of a big vulnerable question.
I think that was. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. My dad, God bless him, he got that was the hard thing was this is a large question when people come to me and say, would you tell your young self, knowing what you know now, would you tell your young self, something that would help? And my answer is always no, because that blind enthusiasm, the not knowing what's about to, what you're about to go through, helps you go through it.
Oh, I like that.
If I had to start over now, I don't know if knowing how hard it was.
Because if you were like, no, don't do that one, it cost you $180,000.
Right.
But what did it give you? I guess also is something to look at.
I mean, it was the best schooling, that you could pay for.
And that's how much school costs sometimes.
That's a really Ivy League expensive doctor's school.
But you learned hands-on, and you got your nose in the dirt, and the fact that you guys were able to hustle and pay off your debts in the field, like around film, around production.
Also, and I know from
that.
someone else who you've worked with before that you ended up bringing on as a set designer, B and them met on a background set, and the reason why she was interested in B was because B was over in the corner on her laptop waiting to work for background. If you've never done background work, it's emotionally exhaustive because you wait and then you herd and then you stay and then it's 14 hours later and you're in trying to just get to sleep.
And you got to look at the actors who are like got the nice heated tents and the bacon catering, and you're over in the background and it's cold and your shit's on the ground and just concrete.
Don't get treated as well.
Anyways,
Brigitte was like working away, like working on a set that she was working on.
And she's a star.
You guys are just like...
You guys are both stars. Like, she's a star to like...
You make me want to be better.
Yeah. It's so good. So, okay, sorry. You can reply to that if you want.
No, well, I guess the thing with the background working on set, it was a lot of our budgets and our pitch packages were created by B on set, and she was like, "I'm getting paid."
That's right.
To be there. And I can work.
Get those
it was
jobs.
just like it was fantastic, and I mean, there was plenty of people who were like, "What are you working on?" You're like, "Oh, we're working on the next movie," and most people would be to background going, "Oh yeah, sure."
Yeah, that doubtfulness. Just don't even tell.
Right, and you're like, okay, well that's fine. But on top of that, the chatline service, I was also a teacher of theory and applied storytelling techniques at the Toronto Film School for 2 years.
Cool!
So
wow.
that was that was also
So helping. You're in touch though with the craft, maneuvering in those fields.
Trying to, yeah. But like in terms of, like you were saying, it's going through that, and those were some of the best times and the worst times because you have so much hope and optimism, and so much like with more hope and optimism and potential. The fall is so much higher, right?
Yeah.
Like you climb that ladder yourself, and then if you don't succeed, that hurts. That's a hard fall, and then you take that as a learning experience. I've come to it's all kind of my career, my relationship, the art. It's all connected, right? Because a lot of this. The issue with the arts, you probably both know this, is that it requires an audience. And an audience is subjective. So and specifically our art, right? I have to make a movie, and people have to tell me if they like it or not. It's a business where if no one watches my movie, it's a home video, right? So you have to have an audience, right? So you have to care about the audience.
Yeah.
But how much can you care? Because if you care too much, then it hurts if they don't like it.
You got to get to know them, and then just like hopefully think that they're gonna support you. Like you guys have managed to garner some pretty good fans. I was resonating with what you're saying. Like when you climb a mountain and you fall, or you didn't think what was supposed to happen happens, it fucking hurts so much. And that was me with the world record. We thought we were gonna go viral. We and I invested. I blew all my savings for that and like put everything I had into it. And like when it didn't happen, it was like, oh. But then you realize I've developed this skill, and hopefully through your own passion projects, you kind of cultivate a little community, and you guys have built a nice little supportive and have some nice relationships now. And then so you guys self-produced something, and that kind of started to brew, or how did you cradle? Because you were like walking right into that.
Well, I think
because you're right, that's an important part of the business, but it's also kind of spiritual, creative as well.
It's I guess what I would say is that the art has to be enough for you. Right? Like if and this is also just not in art, but also just in life. Because I feel like after Medium Raw, I was still, maybe it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted to. Maybe I learned more than, I wanted to from that project. But it kept going. And I wanted to do other movies, and it was Country Crush, and I think it was when Night Cries didn't receive the reception that I wanted it to receive, I felt like that had a very detrimental effect on me as a person, not as an artist, because I really did what I wanted to do with Night Cries. Very happy with the art, but the reception was not what I wanted it, and I felt like it was deserved, and that is an issue that if you start thinking that you deserve something, then that's your downfall.
Let's go.
The art has to be enough.
Yeah.
Right?
The art has to be enough with Andrew. That's the title. Hello.
Just for other artists out there. Now, this is why this is filmmaking and relationship advice, I guess. I'm not sure. But at around the same time that I was going through that, Batman versus Superman, Batman v Superman came out at the same time. Now, people who know me, I'm a huge Batman fan. You mentioned I was a comic book nerd. It was part of the reason why, some people have heard this story. At 13 years old, I had read The Dark Knight Returns, and I realized that Batman doesn't drink.
Yeah.
He always fakes it with ginger ale or whatever. And it hadn't clicked with me. And in high school, when I first started, I would turn down, alcohol. And everyone would be like, "Oh, you're not drinking?" And I would come up with some, bullshit reason.
Muslim or something.
Just some I was drunk, I'm a bad drunk or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Because it wasn't cool
No.
to say that, I don't drink because Batman doesn't drink.
It's pretty gangster if you ask me. The Dark Knight doesn't sip
Now
bitch.
I have no issues saying that, right? So these archetypal heroes, these stories that, impact our lives. I found it really amazing that when Batman v Superman came out, these heroes were still speaking to me. And the movie essentially is about this concept of the world is not necessarily a good place, right? It's a hard place to be a good person. Mm. And there's this scene with Kevin Costner and Henry Cavill where Kevin Costner is just telling him how to be a hero in this world. And he basically tells him to make his world small and be the hero to as many people as you can, but not the world, just your world, right? Man, that's nice. And I felt like if I can create art and create a world where my wife is my everything. My wife is my world.
Your queen.
And then the actors that I deal with, they're my world. And if I can treat everyone within my world super well and create the art in my world super well, then maybe that's enough. And I'll tell you, it is.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
I'll have to do
That's
it.
impact,
Yeah, that
bro.
makes me tear up.
That's fucking impact. That's
Yeah.
not trying to take it all on at once. That's doing what you can from where you are and with what you have and impacting those around you. That is truly, I believe, how you make impact. Because you can't worry about what you can't reach and can't control or how it's going to be received.
And also the expectations, right? Because you say, I've assembled a team. But also, young Andrew is very upset with that person taking that commercial job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You get offended.
I am offended by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone should be committed to the art as me.
Right.
It happens with, I have a rotating band for a reason. Because you, like, it's impossible.
And also, like, I always tell the young people that come to work on my projects is that when I call you and you say, no, I have this project, that's great. I'm happy for you that you're also progressing.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, it's that concept of like, well, I deserve their loyalty. I deserve this. If that's your,
Yeah, you get in such a, anytime that I've gotten into trouble emotionally, like with my emotional stability, it's because I had an expectation that didn't
it's
come
always
to
about expectation.
fruition.
Expectation fucks you up. It's like, if it's not exactly this, then I'm going to react and it's going to be a dropping vibration. And what that does is it cuts off the universe from the miracle that's over here. You're over here like, it better come exactly the way my ego can perceive it. And then it's like, no thank you to everything else because you just fucking freak out.
Absolutely. So, I mean, while I was, let's say feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
right? Self-pity that you're not getting.
Favored.
the deserved recognition, right? But then, I'm at Fan Expo. I have fans coming up to me, and this is like, we did Dark Rising 1 in 2006, released in 2007, and I got fans coming up to me and quoting that movie.
Let's go.
And saying that they're gonna get a tattoo of that movie and that it impacted their life. Yes. And I'm like, that's enough.
That's enough. That's
and it was just like, it's more than enough. And it's like, if I'm always focused on what I'm not getting, then you're missing the beauty of,
Yeah, right. Just
It's
here,
loud.
just this.
right here. Yeah.
The abundance
So,
of the miracle of now. I love that, bro. That's so nice.
I don't know. I could be full of shit.
That's what I hope for half the time. I'm like, I hope I'm full of shit. But what a nice dream. What a nice thing to clink into. Yeah, how was Fan Expo? You guys were there like last week or something.
Well, you've gone there multiple years.
Yeah, I mean, Fan Expo is great. Like I always say, last year we were releasing Rocktopusy, so a lot of people were excited about that, and that was the first place that you could buy it. This year we weren't releasing anything new, but it's always great to see the regulars and new fans coming out and talking. I will never turn down the opportunity to go to Fan Expo.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Just everyone like brings their A game.
It's so nice to see creative minds all come together and like kind of geek out, and I love that the opportunity creates. The poster for Rocktopusy is on his wall. It's so good. Did you design that?
I did.
What the fucking fuck? This is like crazy that you're so with the design. Like, multimedia artists, yes, like that's of course a must these days, but you're like the OG, let me do everything. Like the design of that poster is pure off the wall from like one of the comic book stores I was in growing up, and it gives me that same addictive feeling when I got a new Pokemon card or something. Like it's the way it's symmetrically done. And that's just crazy.
Honestly, I just love the artwork from the 80s movies. Try to emulate it as much as possible. And the other thing, too, is like, again, in the past, I've found that when you're dealing with the under $1 million budget levels, when you start hiring other people, they're not going to care about the project as much as you are. Like that poster took me probably 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like to pay
fuck.
someone properly, that's a lot of money to go. And if you just don't have that, then you have to learn how to do it. And that's just,
Get
kind
your
of the
skills.
situation.
I'm learning new skills right now.
And the
it's
thing is,
fucking hard.
But
I'm forcing you to edit this right now, Winnie.
It's, you know what, it is easier now with YouTube available, like, to learn.
Yeah, it is.
And because, you know, when we started out, it was very much like,
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like now you just have to be willing. At that point, you had to source the information.
or ask someone, hey, do you know how to do this?
Yeah.
And, you know, try to learn that way.
Yeah.
So
What's the last movie that you watched?
honestly, I just watched Mad Max Fury Road yesterday.
Nice.
That was the
Obviously
last one.
not your first time.
No.
Yeah.
I built a movie theater because I love movies.
It's so fucking cool. The hallway down it, and you have the now playing big posters.
Yeah, it's
and
so cool.
You guys are in it.
It's just, I realized after COVID how much I missed going to the movies, and I was like, that's never going to happen again. Because a lot of the times you're watching these movies, I know when I mix the movies, it's supposed to be heard in 5.1 surround sound, and there's an art to that. And
You do the audio mixing in the movies too?
no.
You
I don't.
direct.
I supervise
Yeah,
it, but
yeah,
like
supervise.
George Flores, my sound designer, he's fantastic, and we always, you know, mix it in his sound studio, and I want you to hear it that way.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what other people have done that way,
Yeah.
and so it's important to me. The art is important to me.
And always soaking up craft like that as you're watching it. Same with me when I'm listening to a song. I'm like, oh, those hi-hats are tuned. Like, you know what I mean? You'll like zone in. I wanted to explore something real quick before we wrap up. It's kind of like where we are now, where you are now. You have this kind of beautiful mixed agenda I kind of see. You like passion project, like Rock to Pussy. I love it. Like, you know what I mean? You like, and then you're kind of locked in a wave. You've done some really nice, clean Christmas by Chance, like Hallmark-esque kind of like movies, you know? How did that happen? How did you guys ride all that grubble through your early stages and learning it into this nice partnership where you deliver these like pristine looking, beautiful stories, and then you kind of venture into your own, balancing that, because that is a sweet spot to be, but also I know requires some agendaing and planning and.
Well, I mean, the passion projects, you know, cost money.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's just it. It's if no one is willing to take a risk on my crazy ideas, except for my wife, then it turns out that, you know, those crazy ideas will have to be made by us.
Yep.
Thankfully, there hasn't been a project that I've wanted to do where B has, you know, said to me no. She's always been like, yeah, let's do it. Like, that sounds crazy. Let's do it.
Because she loves creating with you.
Yeah, I mean, from the start, that's what, you know, when we first met, she was like, you write a script, I'll produce it. And that was the start where it's like, okay, she's going to learn how to produce.
What a deal.
And, you know, that's where we're at now, you know, 20 years later, because we weren't married when she said that. And, you know, like it's a similar skill set. I find that the passion projects, they're more difficult to make because they're generally pushing certain boundaries, whether, you know, technically or creatively. Even, you know, directing, acting wise, it's different.
How so?
They generally more intense.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you can push an actor a little further. But you know what the thing is those, so much of filmmaking again is the team. I love the team. I love working with a team. And like those, I always say, I was like, you have a Christmas movie with corgi puppies, right? How can you go to set and be miserable? Like, I just don't understand it. It's Christmas all the time, and there's cute
beautiful.
puppies, right? So
And cool
you know,
people around. Like, you have a cool crew.
yeah, and we definitely try to keep the vibe very, like on the last project, there was someone who made a mistake and was worried that Brigitte was going to yell at her for the mistake, and you know, B's like,
Have I ever
Never.
given
Yeah,
you any
never in a
reason for
million
that
years.
reaction?
correct,
Yeah.
right?
Never.
But like that made me kind of think that, oh, that actually happens, right?
Yeah.
Not
Doesn't
on your
happen.
set.
Doesn't happen on our sets, but it does probably happen.
I've seen it happen.
You know, so
exhausting.
we try to keep it in a, you know, a
Loving
a
frequency.
loving, you know, positive.
Because it's so
Supportive.
much fun. We're making a movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everyone
It's-
wants to like contribute. It
I
feels.
love it so much.
But it's also like, I think that it's learned. Like the behavior, creating that world is learned.
It comes
right?
from the center energy
Yeah.
too. You guys are being it, and it makes you want to work more and give and push more when you see, you know, B helping with costumes and, you know, you like, it's just, everyone's engaged and it's so beautiful.
I will say this, if we didn't have to do it all,
morale might drop.
we would gladly not, I think, at this stage.
All right, noted.
You know, just because it is, you know, you get older and you know, I mean, I slipped a disc on my, you know, a very corgi Christmas was fantastic, but I slipped a disc in my back that put me in traction pretty much for 2 years. I didn't stop working, but I had to wear a back brace through it.
What?
It was just lifting something heavy in the cold without stretching, you know, and I didn't know it was slipped until, you know, after. It didn't start hurting for 2 months after, I guess it happened. I just heard the pop. But, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, you start to go, okay, well, part of Roctopussy was like, I don't know how much time I have left to do those kind of movies where, you know, you can actually take some crazy idea and put it all on your back. My back just might not hold up anymore.
You got a big sword at the end of that movie. You're wearing that night helmet.
Exactly. So, I mean, you know, the thing is that you try to create an atmosphere that is conducive to the creative process, and also realize that you are making a movie. And this was something that was very hard to learn. That the majority of people, I don't know if you guys had DVDs, or I know you guys.
We
Yeah.
We did.
I had VHSs.
Yeah.
So it's like, I remember this, and I was like, I didn't know why it didn't apply to me. It was, you would put a movie and you would watch it, and then you would finish it and go, yeah, it's all right. And the majority of movies and reaction to it is that was your impact on their life. And that's why sometimes it's so rewarding and rare that you get, you know, those couple glimpses where it really impacted you. And that's, you know, you take, you know, whatever that you can get from it, and realizing that if that's the end result, don't make people feel bad. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, we're making movies. Enjoy the day.
Yeah, it's so fun. I want to do it all the time.
All the time. I never
I think
wanna
that's part
stop.
of the reason, right? Like I was going to ask you, like
never wanna
you exactly. So there's just nothing else that you are going to do.
I mean, I
right
like,
now.
No, like I like to create. So it's like if I'm not working on movies, like we just finished Super Icyclone and My Boss's Wedding 2, so back to back. So I've basically been shooting and then in the editing for both, and then the color grade and the VFX. So I've now just finished Super Icyclone. I'm about to finish My Boss's Wedding 2, and now there'll be a hole in my life. You know, now that hole is usually filled up with, like, you know, just mowing my lawn.
Well, you do a lot of work
building.
on your home. Yeah.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's always working, always building, trying to, you know, I think it's important to get outside, do what makes you happy, and also planning the next one. So, and hopefully, like Christmas by Chance, that happened right at COVID. Remember,
Yeah.
we got shut down for
That was
6
so
months.
epic.
One
What a
day of
fucking
shooting.
ride.
One day of shooting, and
But
then,
it got Ralph on set, so
yeah, it did.
Yeah, that was magic how that worked out.
It did. Ralphie was amazing.
after the rest of the time, the first day was a little rough. He was just
We were
excited.
a little nervous after that first day.
Yeah.
There was that one.
lot of
'cause
pulling.
It was so cold.
I know.
And he looked miserable. Like, if I showed you all of the raw footage,
You know what?
this
he
is
has
where the editing, like, really is important.
he has a
I was
resting
so
sad
worried.
face
Does he?
as he gets like a little bit like he has
just-
this happiest smile, but like his resting
He's kinda
face
like-
is just like
So
Concerned.
That moment where he looks up at Winnie, that's in the movie, is the only
Second. Yeah.
of that entire shoot day where Ralphie did not look like he was miserable in the cold.
He was so confused. It was just crazy, but he got the hang of it though, didn't he?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like
For
by the
sure.
time we came back and it was warmer,
it was summer when we came back.
like I was so actually like grateful we had the opportunity to like put him through that process, because like he fell into it a couple times.
Absolutely.
Like-
And there were scenes where when he and Jacob were playing off each other.
Yeah.
I was like, that's magic.
That was
And
so
you were-
good.
You saw it because you're on set looking at, and it's just like, oh yeah, we got it. That's great. I wish every dog were like Ralphie. I've worked with a couple other pets since then,
Oh, wow.
and
It's true. You know,
Ralphie spoiled us. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
Oh, he's a
Unless
good,
you have
smart
like
boy.
a film trained dog.
Even then, Winnie.
Really? Okay.
Sometimes it's just like because we've used film trained
Right.
dogs. They're not that trained.
They're
Yeah.
still just dogs.
Yeah.
Ralph, I'm lucky because he has the Jack Russell ability to just have so much energy.
Yeah.
And you're just like, hey, focus here. And then like we tried to treat things and it got a little cracky. But it was cool for me and him to find like a spiritual process where it's like, you stay there, I'll stay here, and like go ahead and have this moment and then come back and listen to me after. It
I
was
think one of my favorite moments in that movie, Celeste is yelling at yelling
in the office.
In the office,
Oh my
Arguing.
arguing with Jacob, and she leaves, and she kind of says this flippant remark, is like, "And why is the dog still here?" And she leaves, and Ralphie just gives this look like,
Who
and
is
then
this?
yeah, like, and then comes back to Jacob like, and it gives Jacob the moment to just be like, I don't know, and it's just. It was just a great moment when I saw it. I was like, "Oh, Ralphie's
He's
great."
the
But that
best.
movie in general
so fun.
was magical.
Was
as well.
blessed, yeah.
It was very magical for
So
a lot
cool.
of people. Yeah,
Dude,
Andrew, where can we find you?
You're so great.
can't find me anymore.
all right, respect.
I'm in the forest.
Let him mow his lawn, Wayne. Get out of here.
You mean like on social?
Yeah.
Just on Instagram. That's and Twitter at my name, Andrew Cymek.
Cool.
on
We'll put
both.
those links below.
But I don't actually post all that much. But if you guys have questions, you can feel free to reach out, and I will answer any questions that are given.
Oh man, we
About anything or just film related?
Well, no, I'll decide.
8 inches.
I'll decide.
8
you
inches.
know? So,
I so look forward
and
to
because
seeing.
we talked about Rocktopusy so much, and for our friends in the States, you can. It's available streaming somewhere in the States, right?
yeah, it's available on Tubi.
Okay.
And Night Cries, right?
Night Cries is available in Canada on Tubi. I'm not sure if it's available in the States yet. It might be. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
Christmas by chance.
I'm in Rocktopusy, so go
Yeah.
watch that
And
one.
it's
watch that
so good. Like you and
It is
me,
so
like,
good.
oh
I'm
my
really
God,
proud
it's
of
so
that
fun.
film.
It's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you, what you're doing, and I'm
Maybe
just,
we can have in 6 months we can have you and be on.
Oh my God, an update ep.
About 4 hours. Of,
Hopefully, that would be amazing. Yeah, man, blessed. Thank you for blessing us.
Thank
for
you
coming
for
on.
your
Thank you,
time.
So
guys.
beautiful and fulfilling. Subscribe, tell a friend, share this screen cap a bit that inspired you, and tag us all on it. That'd be fine with me.
Cool.
Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Disciplined stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills. Well, it's helped me feel okay about my shitty social skills. It doesn't make my social skills better, but it sure does make sitting in that awkward moment in a social interaction a lot more bearable. You know, that moment where no one in the group has anything left to say, and you desperately want to yell at all of them, just say something. Being high makes that hilarious and not torture.
Yo. It's 11 from Anger Town. This plant just helped me chill out. Found focus. Found confidence. All of a sudden I was productive. Less protective. More progressive. Yeah, we talk about stuff like I'm a next sommelier. But this is about a medicine, baby. We wish everyone a mindful life. It's been a helpful tool for us. And whatever the route to peace, it's each individual's journey. And the more we communicate, maybe we can all help each other out. Love and light. Welcome to Disciplined Stoners Podcast with your host 11,
And my name is Winnie.
and we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. Ralph. Bro, what you know about it? Couple levels up when I move and I go.
Text my friend back. I was like, bro, where'd you get that burrito? It looks good. Did you, and I am 35 today, so, you know, no, hold on, no. Did you know that post-35 pregnancies are called geriatric pregnancies at the hospital? Did you know that shit? They know how to make you feel good about your life choices. Holy! And I was talking to someone recently, and I just want you to know before I continue this story that this person does not know how old I am, so take it easy on him. But we were talking about having babies, and he's like, yeah, the wife's turning 33 this year, so we're going to have to make some decisions soon because post-35, you don't know what you're going to get. Could be broken, or even worse, you might not get one at all because time's up. He looked at his watch. He's like, because time's up. It's men's way of time's upping women, I think. Time's up! You are donezo! You can go wither away. So, you know, I guess I could say I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety about turning the big 3-5. I miss when I was 25 and I was like, aging is such a gift. You know? Fuck. But I have done something that I think societally people would think is impressive. I've been in a relationship for 15 years. Yeah, it's good. My husband and I are, we're kind of like in a race right now, like a competition between one another. It's the race to enlightenment. Yeah, because we're very spiritual people. How long? How long?
Everybody together.
One day we're gonna do a collage of all the times like a brilliant person just said like it's medicine.
Cannabis is a gift from Mother Earth.
Cannabis helped to heal me. Those natural medicines that we use to help to heal us. And of course, they have this euphoric effect, or can.
It's an alternate natural way of healing. And I just think it's so beneficial, and there's so many good properties to weed.
I mean, that's the only difference in my life is I've added cannabis. The amount I've changed and the way our family has evolved and our relationships with my adult sons and everything, like just all through cannabis it's been amazing.
It's part of my life. Like you said, you really can't separate me and the cannabis plant. I use it medically.
Yes.
I have fibromyalgia, diagnosed with fibro very, very young, and I use cannabis to treat my fibro very effectively.
It was through an event that caused her major anxiety that I got her to take a few puffs.
Yeah.
And it helped.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, from being up here to being able to cope.
You know, we've got naturopathic medicine and natural health products that rely on hundreds of years of traditional use.
Yes.
Which, you know, both cannabis and mushrooms technically fall under.
Yes.
If you can keep it at that sweet spot and it's in a healthy way, I feel like that's
it's medicine.
Yeah, I think
it's medicine.
You have to like check in with your life and be like,
medicinal.
It felt like it complemented my personality.
Yeah.
Almost.
Good answer.
It's okay to use cannabis as their medicine. Mm-hmm. They no longer deserve to be in classrooms and hear that they're using drugs and they're bad, when this is medicine that is saving their lives.
Yes.
I mean, I would never put anything on the market that I wouldn't give to my mom or my grandfather.
Those strains are fantastic for pain management, nausea. This helps with pain management.
And I feel fantastic. Like I feel great. Do I attribute it to cannabis and cannabis oil? Absolutely I do.
Relationship to cannabis right now is beautiful, growing, most probably everlasting.
I think this is medicine.
Dude.
120%.
I've got ADD, and I'd use cannabis to help kind of focus me in and kind of turn things off. Like, it very much is medicine.
It was medicinal for me. It was like taking a medicine because that's how it worked.